the spiritual discussion program. I am Saad in Southeast London, and with me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
Morning is fine. It was okay, but it's getting dark now.
Okay.
A bit cooler.
And cooler. Okay. Here I'm in London and it is dark already. And it is cool as well, I will say, or cold. Let's call it cooler, not really cold. Yes, as I say, listeners, this is the spiritual discussion program. Apologies for the late start. Had some issue with our communication technology, but we are live now. So the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the middle way. The middle way. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for tonight is the middle way. The middle way. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can get in touch, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one, .com. blessradio1, the number one, .com. And there, if you scroll down the homepage, you will see a chat box called Bless Chat. And you can type in your message or with comments or questions there. Gregory, as you know, I like to look in the dictionary for the meaning of the words in the topic. So the topic is the middle way. So the first, you can say, keyword there is middle. And I've got two definitions in the dictionary that I found. First one, it says the point or position at an equal distance from the sides, edges, or ends of something. And they gave an example. It says she stood alone in the middle of the street. How good is this definition, Gregory, for our discussion?
Well, such definitions are useful, but how relevant they may be to the discussion is another thing that needs to be considered very carefully.
Right. Okay, I will try the second one and see if that helps at all. It says the form or voice of a verb expressing reflexive or reciprocal action. I don't quite follow it myself, actually, Gregory. I don't know if you can say again if that has any sort of relevance for us.
To a minor extent, the challenge here is that what is the context when the so-called middle way is discussed? There must be a context, and that is what has been lacking.
Right. Okay. Before we go into that context, I would like to go to the second word there, and then I think that might, we can just explore this context after that. So the other word is way. And again, in the dictionary, I've looked that up there. It says, it's given us two meanings. First one, a method, style, or manner of doing something. And then follows on with an optional or alternative form of action. So just let me repeat that. The meaning for the word way, a method, style, or manner of doing something. An optional or alternative form of action. Again, Gregory, how good is that meaning for our discussion?
Well, it may be useful, although one would prefer to use another word, path.
Path. Well, maybe you already hit the nail before I could get there, which is the second meaning. It says for the word way, road, track, or path for traveling along. So I guess that's useful for us, right?
Yes, of course.
Good, good for that. Okay. Now you mentioned this context, when we are discussing this topic of the middle way. So what context should we be looking at?
I would not know the context which needs to be considered. That, of course, must be set in the type of questions which come forth.
Right. Okay, that's fine. I mean, our discussions are meant to be of spiritual and life, we can say, talk about life. So the middle way, I would say, concerns life. But in fact, let me share something so we can have something, like you say, context. In Buddhism, where this concept is, how can I say, considered, there it says, Buddhism declares Buddhism declares take the middle way, the middle path between extreme asceticism on one hand and sensual indulgence on the other. And Gregory, I had to look up what is asceticism because I didn't know what that meant. So I did look that up. Let me just repeat this first. So Buddhism declares that the middle way, the middle path between extreme asceticism on one hand and sensual indulgence on the other. So asceticism, I looked that up, it says severe discipline and avoiding all forms of indulgence, typically for religious reasons. So that is asceticism. And the other one is the other extreme. It says sensual indulgence. So actually, I didn't look up sensual, I just looked up indulgence. And that is act of allowing oneself to enjoy the pleasure of. And then it stops there, but the example is an activity. One that typically one that is undesirable or disapproved of. So that is one concept there of the middle way, Gregory. So which is avoiding the extreme of severe self-discipline, and the other one is, you could call it overindulgence in one activity, especially if undesirable activity or disapproved of an activity. So how does that concept there, Gregory, what can we say about that, basically?
Most of the time, when discussions like this arise, one will find that there is a context, which context is based on that which many have observed physically in the behavior of men amongst themselves or in their relation to the environment. And in that case, there are debates, there are philosophies. No one has looked at these debates and philosophies in relation with the laws of nature. Nature itself is not a philosophy. Therefore, the laws of nature are not philosophies. Whereas that which they themselves are discussing are philosophies which may resonate with the laws of nature or may not resonate with the laws of nature. With the laws of nature, these are precise. and they cannot be annulled because it's only through nature that the environment came into existence, that the inhabitants of nature came into existence. Therefore, all these discussions, be it philosophy, be it science, be it arts, must be considered rigorously only within the boundaries, only within the concepts which nature itself has set. Therefore, when one considers discussions of this nature, these discussions must be looked at, must be abstracted. All the key points of the discussions must be abstracted and looked into with the laws of nature, of creation, as the basis. Only then and only then, may one even dare to say whether the path followed is right or wrong, or is a middle path.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture that you're painting there. From what I was getting from what you're saying is that, there's a famous, we could say, saying, one man's food is another man's poison. So you can't say to everybody, this is the road and you must follow this, all of you must follow this road, because for one person that may be, let's say, not quite, well, not appropriate, or maybe not the right one for them, So it's like each one must find their own way. And this way, I don't know if it, as you said, could be the middle way in a context, or it, I think you are saying the fundamental principle to follow is nature, and it must align with nature, if I get you right. Is that right?
I said the fundamental thoughts or principles must resonate with the laws of nature through which all the processes and all the inhabitants of nature came into existence.
Right. So more specifically, it's the laws of nature that we have to align with this. That's my word that I'm using for it. We have to work with nature, with the laws of nature. That's in a way what you're saying. Okay. So we have to explore that. Okay, just before I do that, Gregory, is there any connection or relation between the middle way and the laws of nature? So almost I'm asking, how can we understand the middle way? Is that any relevance with the laws of nature?
The laws of nature are invariant. They are neutral. Therefore, one cannot say the laws of nature is the middle way. That expression, the middle way, must have a context in which it is used. If that context does not resonate with the laws of nature, then it is of no benefit to the individual. You use an example, one man's meat is maybe another man's poison, or one man's food. Of course, because each individual is unique. That is why that person is an individual. Therefore, the way he or she responds to the challenges, which challenges have arisen because there is the need for the individual to understand aright the returns, or would I say the challenges of nature, or the language of nature. And each individual responds to this language which it interacts with differently. There are some that respond to it swiftly. There are some that respond to it slowly, depending on their innate capabilities. A simple example, we have individuals here on it who, due to their weaving, how they express themselves is only in the so-called sciences. There are others who, due to their skills, the way they respond to the challenges is via the arts, albeit music. So you will find that each individual has a role to play. No one individual may not be comparing himself or herself to another individual because their weavings are different. The way they care to live their lives are different. But there is a common goal. That goal is to become awake. To become awake and to understand the language which nature in its weaving throws at the individual. That is what is common. One may not call that one the middle way because it is intrinsic for everyone to be awake. Therefore, when matters like this are discussed, the fundamental key here must be the laws of nature, all the laws of creation, through which the individual came into existence, through which the environment also came into existence, and the interaction between man, the individual, and the environment, which he or she has contributed to. First, the basic environment which are perceptible to the five senses, the environments which are also perceptible to one's thoughts, and above all, the environment in which the human intuition abides.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this explanation. We're going to keep exploring this topic further, the middle way. Before we do that, I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. Apologies for that. So as I say, it's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time on Tuesdays. The show is, the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the middle way. The middle way. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you are outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. You can also contact us through the website where we are broadcasting, which is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that chat box. As I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's again the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space Grail Message, and then space again the topic of the show tonight, which is the middle way. That you can hear the next day on YouTube, the recording that is. And of course, you can listen to the recording of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, there's I can say somebody who has given me his understanding of the middle way, which I would like to also explore in our discussion. So they say the middle way encompasses the concept of balance and harmony in various spiritual traditions. It suggests avoiding extremes and finding a path that integrates different aspects of existence. And he said there's here's an overview of how the middle way applies to the tree of life. So this one, it is described here. The tree of life is a symbol found in various spiritual and religious traditions, representing the interconnectedness of all life, the balance between different aspects of existence. In the context of the middle way, the tree of life represents the balance between opposites or dualities, such as light and dark, good and evil, masculine and feminine. By navigating the branches and the roots of the tree of life, individuals seek to find equilibrium and harmony within themselves and their surroundings. Gregory, anything you want to say on this picture that is given there?
I tried to listen carefully when you yourself read out, and one had light and darkness. Again, all these traditions really have not taken into consideration the framework of nature. Therefore, all that has been thought out lacks the necessary intuition which might be used as a basis to evaluate that which you yourself just read out. There are many paths to it. The middle way, following the definition you had made, there is one point and there is another point and there is a distance between one point and the other, and there's the consideration of the midpoint being referred to as the middle way. If one were to use that, then one will be asking basic questions like, in the light, what is the middle way? In darkness, what is the middle way? In hunger, what is the middle way? So you will find that that concept which has been put forward as the middle way has not been well articulated, and therefore it defeats the purpose which is being put forward to explain. Therefore, one will not make real sense of the middle way unless one is able to define one point categorically very clear from another point in which we have the same species. One may always compare like with like, not like with that which is unlike. One may compare apples with apples or apples with fruits. You cannot compare apples with animals, or you compare apples with human beings. These are different species, and therefore, when the middle way needs to be considered carefully, it's for it to make any real sense, it must be considered within the same species. The species of creation which one is referring to, of nature, one is referring to, are the species of matter, which acts as a covering. The species of spirituality, not of religion. For spirituality is not of religion, which religion is a thought which has been held onto, which are basically beliefs, which beliefs have never been subjected rigorously to the laws of nature through which all came into existence. Therefore, that middle way, which must have sprung out from the thoughts of the Orient, in which there is no deep consideration into the laws of nature, that middle way cannot hold when the laws of nature are discussed, such as we here are concerned with. Therefore, you will find that in matters of religion, in matters of philosophy, there will be holes, real holes which cannot be reconciled because the matters of religion have not been subjected to the creative laws of nature. Similarly, you have the matters of philosophy not being subjected to the same creative laws of nature. And therefore, you find when discussions like this come up, it doesn't really hold. It becomes an endless argument because of the different comparisons, which comparisons basically are baseless because they do not have a framework. They haven't looked deep enough into the laws of creation to understand what creation is.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for your answer there. I know what I read was a little let's say, number of concepts in it. And what you have addressed there, I will say, is the one where basically about talking about opposites, like light and darkness and good or evil, and to say to or masculine and feminine, and to say what is the middle way there, it's, I would say, almost ridiculous, because not to put anything down, simply that it doesn't make sense. You know, so it's, you can't, like you say, you have to deal with the same species. You know, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So I have to say I've not come across this concept of tree of life. So I have not really although I've sort of heard, let's say, heard of it, but I don't really know what it is. And this is somebody sharing something about it. So, but that's not the way I understood the middle way. If I were to talk about the middle way, I would say, let's say we are talking about a diet. And you could say you shouldn't be let's say, eating the same thing every single day. If you were to, it doesn't matter what exactly it is that you're eating, but you eat something every single day the same, that cannot be like the best way for your health. So I know I've been very general there, because obviously healthy food is the right way, you can say, but you can't be eating the same healthy food every single day and think that's going to be healthy for you. So, you know.
Very true. Well, some people like to eat McDonald's every day, whereas some like to eat curries every day. And but there should be variation. Which variation is good for the upbuilding of the body?
Right, and that's, so we look for, if I but again, putting in the context of the laws of nature. So when we say the middle way in terms of food, we would see what does nature produce, you can say, or how we can use the products of nature, the produce of nature. But in another way we can put it, instead of saying the middle way, the balanced way, you know, it's another term. In fact, that was the other term. If I were to repeat that, the middle way encompasses the concept of balance and harmony. So how is that, Gregory, in the concept of, in the context of the laws of nature? Are we not meant to follow that?
That is nearer in concept, because in there is the balance, and then there is harmony. But again, you have that harmony may be considered amongst many of similar types or of homogeneous types. So one should not consider harmony within himself alone. I'm harmonious. Harmonious with what? There must be a balance. Balance between what and what. So these are just pointers, so that the human personality can see that there are others that needs to be looked into. It could be, those others could be the environment, could be the fellow human personalities in deeds, in thoughts, and in intuitions.
And thank you for that, Gregory. And just going back to this balance of between opposites, which is or dualities, which is such as light and dark. So the middle way of between light and dark, between good and evil, masculine and feminine. So again, when I think of that, you're asking for the middle way, the balanced way between light and dark, and good and evil, and masculine and feminine. This is just the examples given. And I'm trying to, I do not make in my mind sense of this.
Actually, you can't make sense of anything in which they talk of light and darkness and talking of a balance. There can never be a balance between the light and the darkness. For unless that word darkness is used as a figure of speech, then you find, strictly speaking, the darkness does not make sense. The darkness may be referred to as ignorance, but ignorance is not an excuse. When the light is talked about, and many refer to vision, vision is granted to humanity. That is why we have the five senses. So, if one has the five senses, and the sense of sight is there for the human personality to use to detect as a channel, to detect the light, should one now start considering not using it to detect the light, but to start detecting the darkness? So you mentioned a word is ridiculous or is an absurdity, even when that is considered. It only makes sense when similar species are discussed and there is no connection between the light and the darkness. However, between the male and the female, there is a connection. So these were the things one is trying to refer to and said one must look at the context. One cannot say the male is bad or the female is bad and therefore they come together. No. The male is there, the female is there. In their activities form a whole. They support one another. Therein lies harmony, depending on the type of role they are playing, depending on the goals they wish to achieve. There could be variation. But one thing is clear. That which is male, in the case of the human personality, is of spirit. That which is female, in the case of human personality, is of spirit. So they are of the same species. But in their activities, to have they can work together to have a complete whole. That is the way it is.
Thanks again, Gregory, for this answer there, and again the picture you painted. I want to move to a different angle, you can say, in let's say what we see in the world today. You can say, I know we can call it politics, but people hold strong views, political views, you can say, this is just examples, pro and anti-Brexit, that's in UK, of course. Then there's left and right-wing ideologies. And so these are just a couple of examples I'm giving, and you know how the world is quite polarized in this way, people holding these views very strongly. And then we are thinking about the middle way, or let's say harmony and balance. And and even when somebody wins their election, let's say in some countries, they said, I'm going to stand, he represents one particular view or group of people. And then after winning, they say, I'm representing all people and I want to bring everybody together, which is such a contradiction when you think about it. And you're wondering, can actually, with such thinking and holding such views, can there actually be harmony? Because otherwise, if you are, yeah, let me just say it that way. Can there be harmony with such strong, polarized, opposing views?
Like you yourself just mentioned, what many politicians say is different from what they do in deeds. Again, only by their deeds which are perceptible to the five senses, by their thoughts which many can hide, so we won't know what they are talking about, and by their intuitions. But going by their deeds alone, many are able to know them and to already know that the harmony they speak about cannot hold because they lack the ability to bring about harmony. Harmony which considers the working together to achieve an aim which is beneficial to all. That was not what they expressed initially. They only had their personal views which they hid from the public. And that is why you find in many of these discussions, they say, read my lips. So what the politicians do is entirely different from what they had said or what they have in their thoughts. Only they know what they wish to achieve. If indeed in their thoughts they are concerned about the welfare of the human personalities, the welfare of the environment, then this will be reflected in the policies they put in place to ensure that these policies are of benefit to all, not of benefit to themselves alone.
Thanks, Gregory, for this answer. Looking at, again, the same sort of aspect or field of this politics, you can say, with, different opposing views. Of course, there are people who vote for this, parties or leaders, and so, in other words, they're agreeing with those policies that whichever politician is saying, this is what I want to do. And then the thing is, Gregory, again, looking at what we're saying, the middle way, or the looking for harmony and balance. If, as I say, there are people on one side voting for one side and then another people voting for the other side, and let's say nobody has a clear, it's not like 99% vote for one way and only 1% the other way. is normally quite divided, almost maybe equally, or maybe 40-60, or it can be three ways even sometimes, because there's more than one parties involved in these matters. So my question on this is, Gregory, what about the people? So we got the politician you mentioned there, who are, may not be living what they say or doing what they say, but the people who vote for them, they are responsible as well for what they are voting for, but they're also divided. That's the point. And how can the people, come together if they are so divided? Because just to make that clearer, people follow, let's say, what they believe or what they vote for. It's their conviction. That's their firm conviction, you can say. So, which means if the people who are they're thinking the opposite way or different way, they can't align with them or can't work with them. So you start wondering, maybe this is a wrong way, wrong approach, because it only achieves division and not any harmony at all. So is there some rethink required on the way we human beings are, how can I say, in the way we go about, in understand. I can't quite think of the right words right now, but to have this harmony is because by having opposing views, you can never have harmony, and that's with the people I'm talking. So is there something wrong with this, let's say, approach?
Sorry, what is the question?
My question is, Gregory, people are voting for these parties or political leaders, which means they accept or agree with them. But then when the vote happens, there's a division. It's not 100% or 99%, massive majority to one side than the other side. It's quite divided. So with this way, it's not possible to have harmony. So my question is this approach of how we conduct politics or how we vote for our futures, is that a right way?
Again and again, all thoughts, all intuitions, and all deeds must have their framework within the laws of nature, within the laws of creation. Which laws of creation, or laws of nature, help in ensuring that harmony, balance will come about. It is because both parties, that means the politicians themselves and the parties they belong to and the voters, have always had the wrong inner attitude. As soon as the right inner attitude, which resonates within this law, come about, then harmony is not difficult to achieve. Balance is not difficult to achieve. For if it is examined carefully and both the voters and those whom they vote for, if they, through their experience, have come to the conviction that whatever they put out there, whatever they sow in their thoughts, whatever they sow in their intuitions, whatever they sow in their deeds, these will return to them manifold. If that which they have sown is of benefit, it will also bring benefit to all. If not, we find that because it's not of benefit, sooner rather than later or later along the line, they themselves will have to reap it in full. It is because these parties, whether the voters or those who have been voted for, lack this knowledge. Or if they have an idea, they think it will never ever happen. That is why they go ahead to do that which they have been doing, thinking in their narrow views that they can get away with it. That is the root of all corruption. That is the rule of all evil. If only many a perpetrator know that through his thoughts, through his deeds, through his intuition, he or she has put something in nature, has put something in the environment, and there are returns, which returns are intrinsic to the laws that govern creation, that govern nature. Then many will reflect very carefully to ensure that that which they put out will be of benefit to all. Then becomes one for all, which means that which they have put out, the returns will be of benefit to all, and on the other side, all for one. That means now having that which is of benefit, in gratitude, their thoughts and thankfulness will go to that personality that had brought that into existence. Similar to that which you have in music. You hear a piece of music like Sting, and it touches you so much. At the same time, you respond. Many respond in dancing or with great joy. Were the politicians to do that, which the musicians do, then it will be joy. As with music, you find that the musicians put it out there such that many will enjoy it. That is harmonious with those who are able to resonate with that music joyfully. If the music were not joyful, they will not resonate. That is the example which many a personality must strive to attain in their attitude.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and again the picture you're painting. I've got more to ask you about. Before I do that, I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail Message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we are talking about or discussing tonight is the middle way. The middle way. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, which is, excuse me, blessradio1, that's the number one.com. And if you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. And you can type in any questions or comments in there. And also, as I said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com, but you can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number one, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again that's the number one, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the middle way. And you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number one again. Now, Gregory, you've been mentioning about the laws of nature. That's the context where we are supposed to consider the middle way, or where any aspect of life, it has to be within that context of the laws of nature. So I think it would be appropriate now if you can tell us what these laws of nature are, because otherwise people will be not clear. Or maybe they might not know that they are actually some laws are specific, you can say. They can be, it's not just a general term, laws of nature. So can you please give us a better understanding, tell us more about these laws of nature?
Again, thanks for this particular question. As with everything, there must be a context. The laws of nature or the laws of creation, which are discussed again and again, they form a framework, which framework may be referred to as the universal context upon which every other discussion should take place. These laws of nature, which themselves do not vary but always remain the same, through which all came into existence, have been there from the inception of nature. A very simple way of looking at it must be that here or anywhere there is communication. just as we are discussing. There is the exchange, just as you have in nature. Exchange of words, exchange of oxygen. All of this are in motion. So motion is ubiquitous. Motion, therefore, is a law in creation. The laws of creation are expressed, that means are pressed out in motion. Once the individual has convinced himself or herself that motion is a law in creation, whether that motion is called vibration, or that motion is moving from one place to the other, it is still motion. With that clarity in mind, then one may take the second step to know that basically there are only two types of motion. The first type is that motion in which the end of the motion flows back to the beginning. The other type is that in which the end of the motion does not flow back to the beginning. All other motions are reducible to these two basic types. That being the case, one may consider first that in which the end flows back to the beginning. That may be expressed as a reciprocal activity. So, from that in which the end flows back to the beginning, there is a feature of reciprocal activity. Therefore, many or some may call it a reciprocal action, the law of reciprocal action. But there's another feature which is tied to that in which the end flows back to the beginning. The end only flows back to the beginning if there is something homogeneous with it. And therefore, one may consider that it is also equivalent. There is that equivalent feature of homogeneity. A flowing back to the beginning, that presents to the individual an attraction. That is why the end went back to the beginning. Else the end would not have gone back to the beginning. This feature, many may now refer to as the law of attraction of homogeneity, or the law of attraction of homogeneous species. So, species that come together, that coming together more gives the strong impression of an attraction. It has various ramifications. So from that law of motion in which the end flows back to the beginning, we now have two key features. The feature of reciprocal action and the feature of the law of attraction of homogeneous species. There is the other feature in which the end does not flow back to the beginning. That feature has some key elements. One of the key elements, or one of the key structures, if one may call it structure, is that of densification, which many may also call gravitation. Therefore, it is left as an exercise to many a listener to, in the first case, to delve into the work in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. This work, which talks about the life, which talks about the truth, which are the laws of creation, which are in motion, which manifest. It is the task of the human personality to examine this rigorously. Only then will it come to the recognition of what nature is and what life is. Only then will it come to recognition of what it, the human personality, has come to do here on earth, where it came from and where it must go back to in accordance with the inflexible laws of creation that have come into existence.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this picture you've given us, detailing the laws of nature or creation. And I'm trying to think in this context of the middle way, the laws, the middle way in context of the laws of creation, and going in the reflecting on the questions I asked in the earlier part of the show about politics and life, I'm wondering, to be, let's say, work with nature or with the natural laws, would cooperation be the way forward rather than fighting, which is, it turns out people are fighting to say, so the winner takes all, because you've already mentioned earlier, all for one and one for all. And I was reflecting what would be aligned with that. And for me, cooperation. That concept exists, but then there's always this winner takes all. That's also there. And we have both concepts, that is being applied. I will say the winner takes all, many people still consider that to be, a workable way or successful way to live. But it seems when there's a winner, there's also a loser. But when you have cooperation, it is not somebody's a winner and another person is a loser. It's everybody's a winner. So I just want to ask you about that. Is cooperation the right way in regards with the natural laws, in being in line with them?
You yourself said the winner takes all. What has the winner won? How has the winner won?
You're asking me how has the winner won?
Yeah, because you said the winner takes all.
Yes.
It's a concept.
Yes.
So the most natural question that occurs to me, what has the winner won? And how has the winner won? Only when that is clarified, only then can one bring in the laws of creation to scrutinize what the winner, in quotes, have won and how, if the winner, like you find in politics, has been doing all sorts of shady deals, one can already see that he or she has already violated these laws of creation. One will give a very simple incident. Interestingly, this incident happened in Pakistan, in which one of the persons that won as a parliamentarian gave up his seat. Why? He said he discovered that some others who voted for him had done that in a roundabout way, were not honest about it, and therefore he could not, in all conscience, accept what has been done on his behalf. Here is someone who has been declared the winner, and here is his response. What would one say to that? He himself has won in all honesty, because the method which had been used by some of his followers, he could not resonate with that. That was why that question, what has the winner won? And how has the winner won? Cooperation, you mentioned. Cooperation is only possible when you have the same goal. The goal of one for all and all for one. You cannot have cooperation in cheating, cooperation in lying, cooperation in decimating fellow human spirits who, like you, are striving for knowledge. So all these concepts must be utilized aright. Just as I mentioned in the case of this gentleman who gave up what he said to have won, because in scrutinizing how he won, he rejected it. That becomes an example for many to follow.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and and how you've reflected on the with these concepts of cooperation and the winner takes all, because it's not, as you say, it's not enough to just it's like a more is required about the context, how this happened, and there was something else you mentioned, which I've actually forgotten just now, but the how of how, you have won. So if it's unfair, if it's cheating, you know, even if it happened behind your back, that's not right. So it's, you know, you can call it, there has to be integrity, in the process. Yes. So what type of winner is that if somebody's been cheating or somebody's behind their back cheating? So that's, yeah. So we have to look at, as usual, the whole picture, the context, not just the mere words, because, anybody can wear a nice suit and look good on the surface, but what's behind it, as you've said in the past, what's behind is what counts. So we must know that, what is that behind it? Again, having the context there. So I want to now, Gregory, you can say, how can we practice being in line with these laws of nature? You've given us what the laws are. I guess the first part is to understand, to be aware of the laws and then understand them. But is there some, how can I say, exercise? Let's say we have to make a decision on some matter. Do we, meditate? Do we reflect? Do we discuss with others? Is there a way that we can, you could say, find these answers, that we know that this, whatever we make approach or decision that we go forward with, is in line with these laws of nature?
Of course, there is a way. There is a way because the human personality has been granted gifts. The human personality has thoughts. No one can deny that the human personality, the individual, has no thoughts. The effect of the thoughts, the way these thoughts have been implemented, the precipitates are what we refer to as the deeds. There is the other part, that's of the individual intuition. So there seem to be three different categories. The first category, starting from the top, is that of spiritual activities, which spiritual activities generates the individual intuition. This intuition is there. The other second category is that of the individual thoughts. No one can deny that they don't have thoughts. The third category is that of the deeds, the individual deeds. These are three different categories. For one to be able to work effectively, the individual's intuition must have a strong impact on one's thoughts. One's thoughts must have a strong impact on one's deeds. You find it in music, very common. You find it in the arts, very common. Therefore, in that case, it is said that one's intuition resonates with one's thoughts. One's thoughts resonate with one's deeds. Only when that is considered, only that provides the framework with which the individual may now work with others. Because before long, the individual will come to realize that individual A has skills which individual B does not yet have. And therefore, there is the need to come together. The individual who composes music is not the same individual who goes to the farm to produce the crops. It's not the same individual who goes about to deliver letters. Therefore, you find that in these different areas of human activities, there is a need for cooperation. It's not rocket science. So only through experience will the human personality come to a recognition that harmony is not that difficult to achieve. But one must be engaged with the little things, which little things form the connection between one and another. Yet the individual retains his character, just like others. In that case, because there are different individuals with different skills, you find that longing to come together to ensure there is continuity springs up, in which that which has been stressed again and again, one for all and all for one, holds. That is cooperation.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. I just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the middle way. If you want to join in with any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. If you scroll down the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any messages, comments, or questions in that chat box. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number one.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number one, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number one again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the middle way. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number one. Gregory, I was asking about how we can know that we are following the laws of nature or creation, or you could say, align with them. Now, are there some other practices that we could adopt, to make us, let's say, more tuned in, if I can say that way? And what I mean by that is, let's say, meditation or yoga or exercise. Just, I don't know what exercise it can be. Just, people think jogging or walking, but whatever type of exercise, and maybe even breathing. There are some people who have some, you could say, advice with that. I've got quite a number here, Gregory, but I will just repeat it in a moment. Prayer, healthy food, and diet. So I want to ask Gregory, the question is, are there particular practices we should adopt, to help us, you could say, maybe to fine-tune our intuition in, so these practices I'm thinking about is meditation, yoga, exercise, breathing, prayer, healthy food, and diet.
As with everything, when there are too many factors, the personality gets confused. Therefore, there will be no need to go into all this that you have enumerated. But basically, there is a practice, which practice is the only way to be alive. And that practice is to ensure that the human intuition is well registered within the human personality, such that his thoughts have arisen out of one's intuition. That is the only practice. And to differentiate that which is of intuition and that which is not of intuition, one may examine the work again, intuitive perception, the work in the light of truth, in which that which is of intuition is an impression without words. It's like you have a light impression without words. When the human personality strives to understand aright that there is an impression in which words are not attached, then before long he or she will understand that that which is of intuition is holistic. And in due course, in his inner attitude, in striving to grasp it aright again and again in all scenarios, clarity will dawn on the individual. For we want to say, oh, eat this type of food, not eat this type of food. That will be helpful. What of those who do not have the means to eat these types of food? We want to say, do this exercise, don't do this exercise. What of those whose body parts are not strong enough or are incapable of doing these exercises? Some will say, do this breathing or not do that. So the first task the human personality has is his inner attitude towards one's intuition. Once it has got that right, all else will be added onto it. As to how, as with everything, there must be continuous practice, continuous evaluation of that impression that strikes the individual in which words are not attached to it. As a further help, let the listener examine thoroughly the work in the light of truth, Grail Message, and a particular lecture, the intuitive perception. There, all is revealed.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that answer there. Now, another thing I want to ask you, Gregory, is about, you mentioned, of course, that we have this intuition, you can say, which is to guide us. Now, in life, sometimes we learn through, they say, experiencing. Maybe I can call it trial and error. Is that a good, how can I call it? Is that part of our learning to find, align again with the laws if we are doing something? to work with the lateral laws, because I don't know if the intuition. Yeah, I don't want to mix the two questions just now. Just to, let's say, trial and error. Yeah, is that also an approach that is, how can I say, productive or effective, or that's not really the right way?
What generally is referred to trial and error, when one considers the trial, is the individual trying that which has occurred to him intuitively, or is he trying that which has arisen in his thoughts without the intuition? That is where the challenge is. If it is that which has arisen in one's thoughts, which is peculiar to the environment, there, in which the thought is implemented and then it fails, then one comes to the conclusion, I should not take that path, or one may try again. If it continues to have the same results, it may not follow that path. There is on the other hand, that which has arisen from one's intuition. As long as that channel to one's spirit is open, it is the human spirit that experiences that which is pleasurable and that which is not so pleasurable, and it has gathered all these experiences not only in this earth life, but also in previous earth life, and to a large extent in its longing from its source, which longing is awakening in a step-by-step manner, that longing that draws strength from the paradise of man in the spiritual realms. These are the impressions which have arisen from out of the spirit and is passed through one's intuition to the solar plexus, which then goes to the back brain and has an impact on the frontal brain. This is done in such a way that the challenge which has accosted the personality on the external, the personality has a way of managing that particular challenge, because the human spirit, its intuition is more like a bird's eye view, is able to survey a much larger dimension as compared to one's thoughts that is limited to the environment. Therefore, you find that which many have referred to as trial and error, they have not reflected deep enough to understand what they are talking about. If, however, they are bold enough to examine the living words in the light of truth, then clarity and recognition may now dawn on many, and little by little, they will come to know how to use their intuition. But first, they must recognize that impression without words.
Thanks a lot for that answer there, Gregory. Now I'm wondering about intelligence. Is that the same as intuition? Because some people are more intelligent, in quotes, than others. So they tell us with exams and whatever. Or is it, is intuition, is intelligence the same as intuition? Gregory, do you hear me?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
When that expression intelligence is used, the attitude attached to it has always been wrong. For most of the time, it is used by those who are so one-sided. There are things they are able to do because they have an insight into it through practice or some other thing, and they say, okay, they're intelligent. There are others who are not so inclined, whose activities are in a different direction. Those ones are assumed to be dullards. Many who are involved in music or who could only play the guitar or the violin or the drums, who, through deep within them, are able to resonate to the pictures which are shown to them and express these pictures in one form or the other, that personality is intelligent. For he or she uses the skills which have been passed on to him or her accordingly in nature. Whereas there are others who, in quotes, are brilliant intellectually, but lack that deep inner connection. They may be brilliant because they know how to articulate things in a very narrow context, just like politicians. But when the chips are down, where harmony and peace are to be considered, then intelligence is called into question. For that personality who is intelligent would have considered the whole picture and made preparation rather than considering his own part alone. So the interpretation of intelligence is very different in practice than what many have assumed in their heads.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. We've come to the end of the show tonight, listeners. Hope you've enjoyed our discussion on the middle way. And I'd like to end with reading from the foreword of the Grail Message, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such, it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Aprushin. Dear listeners, if you want to get more information on the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, would you like to say something to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week.
Same from me, listeners. Hope you can join us next week on Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. We'll have another topic for discussion. Take care.